Insider, we got a special guest joining us today. Her name is Pamela, and she recently graduated from our flagship program called the Life Mastery Achievers, also known as LMA. And she'll be sharing with us in terms of her experience and her journey on board the LMA. So let's firstly start with the first question, which is, what's your full name, where you're currently based, and what you're currently up to in terms of your occupation?
Okay. Well, firstly, hello, everyone. I'm in the habit during my challenges of saying hello to the room. My name is Pamela Rosario, and let's see, I'm based in the Maryland suburbs of Washington, D.C. in Gaithersburg, and currently I'm an online entrepreneur looking to become a coach, so I'm building that up on the side. And that's that. That's the direction I'm going in.
Awesome. So let's rewind time right now, Pamela. Before you came across LMA, what were some of the big issues you were facing in your life, and what impact was that having on your life, and how did it make you feel every day?
Oh, well, when I first started, I was already a little over a year into what I like to call resistance with a capital R. I had left my corporate job a little year earlier, and I was working to build up this online coaching business. I wanted to be in leadership coaching. And when I left the corporate job, I had bought into this coaching program, which actually came with a coach. And I was talking to him every day. I was trying to move forward. And I got really stuck when I was building my course material. And it was bad. Like when I say I got really stuck, I mean, I tried everything I could think of. Sometimes I couldn't even move forward more than maybe an hour and a half in a day. I actually flew to where the coach lives to spend 3 intensive days working with him, because I thought maybe that might be the only way I could push through and actually finish the course. And I wound up actually never quite finishing. There's still some little details in there that I didn't finish putting together. But then I thought, you know what, this is slowing me down. Let me move on to the next thing. And I couldn't get through it. So I stopped working on it about a year ago. I realized I was still burnt out from all the stuff I did before. I'd never dealt with it. So I started getting physically healthy, which moved me forward with becoming mentally, emotionally, spiritually healthier. And it was great in the sense that it got me moving forward personally. Something happened personally where I decided to go see a therapist, and everything helped me move a little more forward. Everything did something useful and important. But I went on this incredible family vacation, extended family vacation at the end of the year to the beginning of this year. And I thought all of that went away. You know, I came back, I was ready to attack everything, I had a plan of action. I was like, yeah. And then 4 or 5 days after my trip, it returned. Resistance with a capital R was back. And I didn't know what to do because I technically wasn't doing anything professionally or financially. I didn't have any money coming in. I was just spending money. So I was at the end of my rope in the sense that I was out of ideas. I did not know what to do. And it just so happened I saw an ad for the webinar that led to LMA, and it resonated. So that's why I went on the webinar, and everything you said, it just resonated perfectly with me. It just so happened to be my birthday when I watched it. So I said,
Wow.
Birthday gift to me. Like, I really want to move forward. I don't know what else to do.
I didn't know that. Is your birthday on the day of the live webinar?
It was this year. It was January 27th. I'm pretty sure it happened on my birthday, or at least I made the decision and joined on my birthday in any case.
That's awesome. So resistance with a capital R.
Oh, yes.
This resistance shows up differently for a lot of different people. What does that mean to you? Resistance with a capital R. How is that showing up for you?
So for me, it's changed over time. A great thing is that I no longer feel it. I noticed about 2 weeks ago that I started changing my language because I realized, no, I'm actually not still fighting any resistance, which is great. As a testament to LMA, it did what it was supposed to do. But for me, it was, oh gosh, it transitioned over time, but it was so many things, especially more than a year ago. It was me having intense procrastination where I would be looking at myself, I'd be watching the hours passing, you know, after 6, 7, 8 hours, how come I haven't started working on the things I wanted to work on? Or I did it for a little bit, and then I very quickly veered into something else. I mean, I was still learning and growing in other ways, but I wasn't actually doing what I intended to do with my time, you know, the things that would actually move the needle forward. And at night, when it came to sleeping, it was particularly painful for like a good 4 months at least. I actually had to do something more on the extreme end to try to throw a lot of my subconscious negative beliefs out of my mind so I could actually start sleeping. It would be, you know, I'd be trying 4 or 5 hours to sleep. It might be 4, 5, 6 a.m. and I still couldn't sleep even though I was exhausted for hours. You know, I would wake up exhausted. I'd be really lethargic all day. I would try everything I could think of, all the normal things you might try, you know, meditation, melatonin, CBD gummy. I tried all kinds of things to try to sleep, listening to audio storage, just so many things. I just couldn't do it. My mind would not shut off. And in the very early month, the first month, I mean, I was just having these horrible like thoughts that would come to mind while I was trying to sleep, very traumatic things, and I could really feel the experiences. It was awful. Like after some months, I thought, you know, like I need to get a handle on this, otherwise I might become crazy at some point. And I had someone who actually recommended I go see a therapist because said, yeah, you know, if you don't fix this, this actually causes people to become insane over time. But I was determined to get out of it. So fortunately, that is not my reality anymore.
Awesome to hear. So you're saying after you came back from holiday, 5 days afterwards, you began to feel the resistance again.
Yes.
You're saying maybe it was from the past, something you've not resolved in the past.
Right.
And it was showing up as procrastination.
Yes, it was still showing up as procrastination. You know, every day I woke up and I said, hey, this is what I want to do with my day. Here's how I want to move my professional life forward. And none of it. It just, before I knew it, I was watching YouTube videos, I was reading articles. I mean, all still important things, all still about professional or personal development. But, you know, I wasn't doing the work I needed to do.
Right. So what do you believe was triggering it in terms of, because you're trying to take action on your business, but you're feeling resistance. What do you believe was triggering that?
So I was socialized just for a completely different life than what I wanted to pursue. You know, I was socialized to, you know, go to college, get a 9 to 5, you know, work hard in that endeavor, retire, that kind of thing. I was literally socialized not to become an entrepreneur. That was very risky. It was the worst decision a person could make, you know, all these kinds of ideas. So I had that. I really didn't understand that the way we are socialized, it really steps in the way when you are trying to do anything out of your norm. Not even talking about if you're trying to do exactly what your socialization taught you, you are not supposed to do. And on top of that, I also had feelings, like very deep-rooted feelings of unworthiness and total lack of confidence. You know, do I know what I'm doing? Am I good enough? And it was ironic because the subject matter, most of it, was something that I had personally gone through and made it to the other side and became very successful afterwards. So I was putting course materials together about something I knew very deeply and personally, but I felt just completely insecure about what I was trying to put out into the world.
Right. So it's almost like a misalignment of almost like an identity in a way.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. I knew what the new identity was, but I didn't actually step into it. I didn't believe that I was it, and I didn't actually know how to step into it. because I knew that I needed to do that. I knew I needed to actually align with my new identity, but I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know how to get there. It's just unfortunate. I mean, the coach that I had over a year ago, he was very good, but somehow I couldn't figure it out.
Realize that we haven't even spoken about LMA, because I'm so, you know what you're saying, I'm so fascinated about it because I can resonate, and I got a feeling a lot of people watching this can resonate as well, in terms of it kind of falls under self-sabotage in a way.
Yes, exactly.
But something is stopping you internally.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, if we were to talk about LMA then, you were on the 3 Secrets to Reinvent Yourself webinar, which is a free webinar.
Right. Yes.
And you were presented the opportunity to, of course, join LMA program. If you was to be honest, what was your biggest doubt you had about making that decision to say yes? Or what fears did you feel? And what ended up making you say yes?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's the interesting thing, because you say you resonate with what I'm saying, which is why you're so interested in it. But that's why I resonated with LMA, because I resonated with everything you were saying in the webinar. I recognized, yeah, you definitely have been there, because this sounds like it was your real experience. I mean, I know, over time people can get the right words and the right pain points for their clients, but I truly did believe that you had been in your own version of a similar place. And that's why just everything you said in the webinar, it was like, it really spoke to me. I mean, even down to saying, yeah, have you ever noticed that you go on vacation somewhere else and whatever that thing is that's stopping you, it goes away and you feel great, and then you come back home and it comes back? And I said, yes, this is exactly what I'm dealing with right now. So yeah, so I knew deep down that that it was the right step I needed to take, especially because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what my next step was. I was very afraid deep down and desperate in that sense, because I thought, well, I know I'm resourceful, but if I don't do this, then what am I supposed to do? How do I move forward? Because I actually don't know what to do anymore. And my biggest fear was that I wouldn't actually do the work. I wouldn't actually commit, because I bought so many programs, I'm sure lots of people have, online programs where I either never touched it, or I started doing it, and as soon as it became inconvenient, whatever that meant at the time, I stopped. And so that was my fear, was that I wasn't going to actually commit to this and take it seriously and go for it. And the reason I overcame that was because my fear of staying stuck and really not knowing what to do, if I didn't move forward and I didn't commit, I made that fear bigger than my fear of, oh, what if I don't commit, whatever, what if this doesn't work, So I essentially self-coached while I was having that internal dialogue, and I made it just an absolute priority. I emotionally put my back against the wall to say, hey, I refuse to go back. I can't stay here. I have to move forward. This is my only option. I have to commit. I have to do the work and just see what comes of it.
Nice. So you decided to take I suppose, the leap of faith, and you joined the LMA journey. So what would you say made you feel the happiest, or surprised you the most onboard LMA?
Onboard LMA. So how quickly I internalized the information. As I noticed, so when I initially started, we still had, I think, maybe about a couple months until, maybe a little more than that actually, before the private Sunday sessions started.
The live one.
It was something where even when I got in, I didn't quite start doing the course, and then I recognized, like, okay, I'm really having trouble with my sleep. Let me start doing it. Let me, be serious about this. And so I started with the modules, or started with the videos and module 1, and like, I found it amazing. I was watching it, I was so enthralled with the information, and I was like, yes, I totally understand where this is coming from. And I was having these internal shifts. I would even go to sleep on days when I was watching the videos, and I was actually doing the work. I was taking notes. I was doing the exercises. And I would go to sleep and I would have dreams where I was like really respecting myself. It was really funny. I would have, just so much confidence in myself. And I would wake up the next morning and think that had to be because of LMA. Like that, I've never had that dream before. So that was it, just how fast I was internalizing the information. It was really making very important shifts so noticeably, just to show up in my dreams like that. I thought, okay, this is working. I'm going to keep moving forward.
Right. So at the start, though, you were saying you still haven't quite put the foot on the accelerator to really immerse yourself. So what ended up making you say, yeah, I'm all in. Let me just really give it a fair shot. What ended up happening?
It was the Sunday private sessions. The fact that we had them, I thought it was a fantastic idea because there are so many coaches who, maybe not so much right now because of what's going on in the world, but normally, we've seen it where, they throw an online course together and there's either no coaching interaction or maybe there's a little bit here and there. It's not actually something that's set. Maybe you have to request it. So if you're going through your own personal struggle, you're probably not going to request it. Excuse me. And that's what I really appreciated about LMA and about you is that you and Alice are very involved, particularly Alice, very involved in the community. And then you take the time, like every Sunday for 6 weeks, you are there, you are doing the work, you are putting in the effort to teach us. And it's not exactly what you get in the modules. So it's not like, if you do it at home and then you do the Sunday sessions, I mean, yes, obviously there's a lot of overlap, but it's not exactly the same. So it doesn't feel like a waste of time. And I really appreciated that you take the time to come in and do those Sunday private sessions. So that's what it was. I said, if nothing else, because as I was moving forward, I was actually moving forward with my career, which is great. So as I was doing that, I was allowing myself to get a little obsessive. I wasn't as good about doing the modules at home, but doing the Sunday private sessions, it guaranteed that I was still learning the material. I was still having the internal transformations. I was doing the exercises, and then I did the bonus challenges. So that really anchored in the information and the transformation. And I was able to see myself have these outcomes I wanted to have, even just with doing that, with being present in the community every day, doing the challenges, going to the Sunday sessions. So that is really exciting for me to realize that what I wanted to get out of LMA, I actually got it.
Amazing. So let's talk about the bonus, the challenge, because it is a bonus. It's totally optional and you don't have to take part, but you decided to take part. So what was the reasoning behind that? What made you want to say, yeah, let me try it? Because some people don't want to try it.
It just seemed like a good idea. It seemed like the right thing to do. I mean, it also helps that, you're like, hey, if you want to do these awesome things, like these awesome, like gifts that we might give you.
Prizes and stuff.
Yeah, like that helps. I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely want to do that. But even if it hadn't been for that, I would have done it. Not entirely sure initially if I would have been as consistent, but in seeing all the good that came from it, I definitely would have continued. So it really came from a place of, hey, I actually want to do this. I want to anchor this learning in. So let me just do these challenges. Let me stretch myself. And it really paid off.
Amazing. So let's talk about where we started this call. You was talking about the resistance with a capital R.
Oh, yes.
What was it, without revealing, of course, exactly what that content was, but what was it that you discovered on board the LMA that allowed you to change that relationship you was having with the resistance?
I think it was just like learning the information and then doing the exercises and then anchoring it in with the challenges, the actual act of, because you learn the information and it already starts triggering internal transformation, because that's the idea, is you're learning it and you're realizing new things and you're making connections, how it applies to you, it applies to your life, it applies to your situation. And then you deepen it by actually doing the exercises, and then you put it out there. I mean, there were times where I felt very uncomfortable. You're talking about my future self and, you know, my ideas and whatever else. It's like, oh, how am I going to look when I'm saying this? They're going to think I'm crazy. It's like, no, these are the people for me to talk about my crazy ideas to, you know, all the incredible things I want to do in the world and for myself and whatever else. So doing all of that, it really stretches you, and it brings this much deeper level of transformation, because you're really connecting with those things you want for yourself, that you want to do in the world, you want to do for others. It helps you just by virtue of doing it. And so you're already thinking about it, and then you actually move forward with it. It helps you step into all of that. And just on its own, the transformation came. I didn't have to, you know, think about it otherwise or do anything otherwise. But in making that commitment as well, because it's so important how in module 1 you talk about integrity. And, you know, doing what you said you would do. So that's a part of it too, just setting that expectation already in the very first week, so to speak. You start acting in alignment with that if you're serious. And I was, and I would catch myself thinking those things like, hey, well, how would my future self feel about this? Okay, I'm going to go do that thing, even though, you know, maybe right this second I don't feel like doing it. Or, well, I said I was going to do this, so now I have to go do it because I'm living with integrity. Just by virtue of doing all that, being exposed to it, actually committing to it, the transformation comes on its own.
Okay. What would you say specifically has been the biggest benefit for you, having gone through this journey with all of us?
That I got the transformation I wanted. That would be it. So what was it? So we're in week 6, and I'm doing the challenges. And so it's every day, it's, you know, what are the 3 biggest lessons from module 1, module 2, module 3, and so on. And I was so far most blown away that when I went back and looked at what I said in my challenges from week 1, just realizing how much my beliefs have actually shifted. You know, the beliefs I had during that time, the version of me that I was 6 weeks ago, I actually don't identify with that version of me anymore. I don't associate with it. I don't believe those beliefs. You know, I was looking at it. So we had the one challenge where it was what does your past self believe that your current self no longer believes? And what does your current self believe that your future self no longer believes? And I was looking at that and I thought, oh, I actually became my future self. You know, it's still a work in progress, but as long as you're developing, it's always a work in progress. That's normal. But those old beliefs I had that, you know, my current self at the time had, I don't believe that anymore. I looked at it and I was like, what? That's not true. That's not real. That has nothing to do with who I am. And so just having that realization that in 6 weeks, I actually got what I wanted. I moved forward. I don't feel like I'm battling resistance. You know, if anything, it's like a very small, tiny R. It's like in a corner somewhere. I don't know how to go around it and dispel it. I couldn't believe it. So going back and seeing who I actually was 6 weeks ago and seeing how much I've changed in 6 weeks, that's been my biggest surprise. That's what I'm most happy with. I did it. You know, I walked forward. I took that leap of faith. I said, oh, I hope this works out. And it actually did. And I'm moving forward in my life in the important ways I need to do.
Awesome to hear. Final question is going to be this, Pamela.
Mm.
I want you to imagine right now, somebody watching, maybe sitting on the fence. They might be considering joining LMA or maybe not. They're kind of resisting the decision. What advice would you give to this individual, having gone through the journey yourself now?
Oh, I would say just do it. Truly, just do it. Take the leap of faith. And the reason I say that So I was really thinking about this last night. And I actually went back to my course materials last night that I hadn't touched in a year. And in January, when I was on that family vacation, it just so happened a family member I was staying with, she's a life coach and a business coach. I thought, oh, what are the odds? I had no idea. I had her look at my course materials. And so this was early to mid-January. I remember feeling so deeply riddled with insecurity. And then last night, looking at those course materials, because I decided to teach something from it in like a different group I'm in. And I was looking at it, I was like, oh my gosh, this material is amazing. I can't believe I ever doubted myself. I mean, the only way you're not getting a transformation in LMA is if you literally do nothing. And I mean, you do not go into the online database, you do not join the Facebook group, you do not do any of the challenges, you never look at the course material, you ignore every message that comes out to you. That is the only way you will not see any type of transformation. So you literally have to go out of your way to not transform. If you do anything that you need to do, any aspect of what you're supposed to do, you're going to see transformation. Even if you're just exposing yourself to the information, you will have internal transformation. Even if you're doing some of the exercise, maybe you just go to the Sunday session, you will absolutely have transformation, especially if you do the challenges. Not even talking about that, even just being in the Facebook group and seeing everyone else move forward and seeing their stories and seeing their challenges and their victories. It's so inspiring. I don't see how you couldn't actually have any type of changes that you wanted to have. You would really have to go out of your way to not get them.
Your energy's firing me up, Pamela.
Oh,
I'm sure people watching must be feeling the same. Fire that right now. Okay, Pamela, just want to say, firstly, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you for your kind words regarding your journey. And for those of you who are checking out this video, I also want to say, of course, thanks so much for your time. And as always, follow your heart and take action. And let's create the life you're truly born to live.